Rachel has a major drinking problem, but I'd still love to eat her food. And this guy is a whole canoe of douchebaggery. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm so excited to be covering Below Deck, Season 8, Episode 12, Blue Skies and UTIs. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. I was cringing. I enjoyed this season. I'm enjoying the season. I've enjoyed this episode. There's parts where I wanted to punch my TV screen. There's a little part where I cried. So much going on, so let's talk about it. I'm about to go into my Patreon spiel. Before I do encourage you to check it out now because I have the whole of Scary Island season of Roni up, and it's amazing. We did deep dives. We talked about what the heck happened there, and it's fantastic. And now we've moved on to season 4 with Cindy Barshop and Morocco and all the fantastic things that happen there. So check it out. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives in New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. So literally the first note I have here is Rachel's on stage. She's drunk as shit. She's blackout drunk. She's saying she wants to sing some dirty ass shit. Those are her words. And then she starts yelling titties. Okay. Eddie says that he hates this and he's walking away. And while Eddie has been a stick in the mud this season, I agree with him. I would hate this too. If a member of my group was up there acting like this, it just would make me really uncomfortable. I'm all for people having a good time, but I don't think this was the way to do it. And she was interrupting the band. I want to hear the actual band play, not her. Francesca's trying to get her off stage, and she's saying, kids are around, the parents are getting uncomfortable, come square around us. I thought that was a pretty good line. Eddie says, embarrass yourself all you want, but don't embarrass the crew. And Izzy is still not feeling good. So Eddie and Rob go paddleboarding. We see Elizabeth and James all over each other. God, those two. They're a train wreck this episode, aren't they? They're always a train wreck, but it's extra bad. And I mentioned how I thought he was cute before. I have completely lost my lady boner for him. He is no longer cute. He's disgusting. He totally turned me off this episode. Beyond turned me off. He's just, ugh. You guys called it. He's an F-boy, and he showed his true colors. And believe me, I'm not a fan of Elizabeth anymore. I don't think she deserved this. This is pretty awful. He's leading her on big time, and I think, he's using this excuse that, she didn't have my back, but nah, he just grew tired of her. He got the goods, so he's ready to move on. So he's acting like this, and I have no use for this kind of whatever that he's got going on. So everybody's getting ready for dinner, and of course Rachel is just completely wasted. Elizabeth and James, they're just a lot. Elizabeth tells everyone they're gonna marry each other, and James teases it'll last all of 6 months. She says, don't joke about this, and I'm like, oh God, Elizabeth, if you're this stupid, you probably deserve each other. Rachel walks off saying James is a douche, and while Rachel is completely drunk, she's not wrong. Let's see. So they sit down for dinner. They're excited to have a nice dinner, and Rachel is drunk, and I kept backing it up. I believe she's yelling, take my order. That's my Rachel impression. Eddie says, F my life. Rachel is telling Elizabeth that she's mad at her. Why would you hook up with that effing idiot? She's saying it right in front of James. And I totally do not like James this episode. That sucks. I mean, come on, Rachel. Pull your shit together. Elizabeth is like, I like him a lot. Give him a chance. And this is what bothered me is Elizabeth is standing up for James, but he thinks she's being disloyal? Question mark? I guess all he sees is Elizabeth not shutting down the drunk idiot. But even Rob points it out. Maybe she felt like Rachel needed her, and so she was talking to her. I just think the logic is flawed, and it's just an excuse for him to dump her and move on to the next, because that seems to be his MO, and he's disgusting. Kind of felt like Eddie when I was watching this scene. I was cringing. I was like, oh my gosh. Rachel is completely just unaware of what's going on, and Eddie wanted to crawl under the table, and I don't blame him. James is still being full on James. Elizabeth has no clue that James is getting more pissed off. Rachel has no clue that she's, I don't know, alive or at dinner or what. It was just a big chaotic mess. James to camera says it puts him off Liz because Liz is still talking to Rachel. Rob is saying, like I say, that Liz is trying to help Rachel, and James is saying again, it puts me off. So Rachel and Elizabeth end up in one van together because Elizabeth's literally the only one that will be around Rachel right now. And all the rest of them end up in the other van. James comes walking up. Elizabeth is like, come on, James. James gets in the other van. She's confused. I don't know. This just seems so crazy and so childish, and just be done with him. She just doesn't realize what a douche he is. But then again, I don't blame James for not wanting to ride back with Rachel because she's been talking crap about him the entire dinner. So for that, I don't fault him. I fault him for everything else. So they arrive back at the boat. James asks, I think he's talking to Izzy, says, shut the door. So that way Elizabeth can't come see him. Drunk Rachel is wandering around the galley eating chips. It made me laugh. That's more something I would do. Next morning, everybody's waking up. Izzy still feels like crap, unfortunately. She's still dealing with all that stuff she's dealing with. And holy crap, we find out later what it is, and it's a lot. Rachel says she drank copious amounts of alcohol while being exhausted, and she doesn't remember what happened. Oh, Rachel. Izzy says she can hold a hose and not pass out, but she can't scrub because she will pass out. Eddie once again encourages her to go to the doctor. And Rachel realizes, I didn't really understand that part. It was weird. I thought something was going to come of this. Rachel realized she doesn't have provisions, so she gets off the boat to go get them. But yet we see the next day provisions arrive. So I don't quite understand what's happening there. But nobody wants to go with Rachel to get the provisions, so she goes on her own. Let's see. Eddie and Elizabeth talk about everything that happened. Elizabeth says everyone left her with Rachel in the van, and Eddie says they didn't want to be around Rachel. Eddie says Elizabeth should apologize to James because Rachel was bashing him. Elizabeth says she wasn't backing Rachel at all. She was just talking to her, and she says she's going to go apologize. So she goes to talk to him. She's hugging on him. She says she's sorry. This is where, yes, she's an idiot. I understand. I mean, she's just not the sharpest crayon. She really isn't. But he's the worst because he says to camera that he doesn't trust her anymore, but, he doesn't want to tell her that because he doesn't want to cause drama. So instead of being honest with her, he's leading her on and then surprised that she gets upset later because he's leading her on. It's just such F-boy behavior. I just, no thank you on that. So poor Izzy seems to be dying. Eddie gets her in a van to go see a doctor. And let's see, the crew sits down for lunch. Rachel's at the dock. She arrives with provisions. She radios. Nobody answers. Captain says everybody knows how I feel about not answering the radio. He says there's something going on, so after they help Rachel, he ends up paging Eddie and Francesca, and they have to basically explain what's going on. So Eddie tells the captain that the chef has a difficult time playing with others. She becomes negative and toxic, and she's directing negativity at the crew members. And so the captain thinks about it, and he says it's too hard to find another right now, so let's put it on a shelf. So they're not going to deal with it. I'm sure this will come back and bite everybody in the ass. I don't really understand the point of that. That that conversation. I think Captain just likes her food so much. He's like, we'll overlook it for now. So, let's see. Elizabeth then tells Aisling that she likes James more and more. No awareness. James then does this weird thing where he winks at Aisling. And Aisling is like, why is he winking at me? And Elizabeth is like, yeah, why did he just wink at you? Has he been flirting with you? So, weird stuff going on there. We see Izzy come back to the boat. She apparently has a double kidney infection and a UTI and strep throat. Oh my God. She's not contagious, so she just has to take her meds and be on bed rest for 24 hours. Then she'll be better. I mean, this girl is such a trooper. That's incredible. Preference sheet meeting. Rachel says she doesn't get hangovers. That's not great. Gigi they keep talking about this dog, Gigi, Georgia, Gigi short for Georgia. She's a 4-pound teacup Yorkie. They make a big deal about it, but so far nothing's come of it. It does sound like, we saw pictures of next charter where Gigi leaves a present for everybody. That looks pretty disgusting. The guests have invited the captain to dinner both nights. So then we see Captain Lee in the wheelhouse, and Francesca goes to talk to him, and he says that Rachel has all the talent in the world, but she's squandering it, and it reminds him of his son. And you guys, I'm not gonna lie, I cried and cried through this. It broke my heart. I can't imagine Captain Lee. I mean, I wondered if this would come up, and heartbreaking stuff. I can't even talk about this, but awful. I didn't know that the captain was the one that found him, and now he questions if he had come home earlier, could he have saved him? Oh my God, I can't even deal with this. All right. Day of charter, and let's see, everybody's excited for this dog. The interior is. Elizabeth's on laundry, Ash is on cabins. The provisions arrive. Rachel has to get Eddie out of the kitchen. Oh my God, it's so gross. She said she's crop dusting like a SOB. Ugh. She just really grossed me out a lot. Aisling is starting to feel sick. It's about 30 minutes before the guest's arrival, and she's starting to not feel good as well. She's having the same or similar tummy issues to Rachel. The guests arrive. A big deal out of this dog. I don't understand having a dog on a boat. It just does not seem like a great idea. Justin, one of the guests, says that he wants to put his poison in Aisling. I wrote in my notes, ew. That's so disgusting. Okay. Fran pours drinks for the guests. Aisling says she's semi-dying. Rachel is saying her stomach is messed up, and she says she has bubble guts. Ugh, I can't even talk about this, you guys. It's so gross. Stuff with smell. She has to go lay down for 30 minutes. Aisling feels like she might have a UTI or something going on. I couldn't get a read. She kept talking about her stomach, but then it switched to possibly a UTI. I wasn't real sure what was going on there, but anyway, so they're screwed. Izzy's feeling much better. Happy to be out helping the deck crew. Izzy's amazing. I feel so bad for Ash. She's leaning over just saying she's not feeling good. Rachel's headed back to the galley saying she's screwed. Her tummy's all messed up. I'm thinking, girl, you didn't help yourself at all. Justin's still talking about Aisling being beautiful. Rachel says her old boss is from Texas. So these people are from Texas. Her old boss is from Texas. So she said she wants to cook good, simple food like bone and ribeye. She's making, I believe, steak and lobster for dinner. So she's trying to put some thought into what the guests might like to eat. So there's this whole thing keep going back and forth where Elizabeth's not listening to Francesca about checking the laundry. And Francesca's saying, maybe by the end of the season you'll get it. So Rachel has some food going on the grill upstairs. It looks delicious. It's like lobster and steak. She did some onion rings. The guests are very excited about it. Rachel is still struggling, as is Aisling. So they serve the dinner, and Izzy asks Elizabeth how everything is with her and James, and she says she's frustrated because it's weird and they haven't really talked since the other night, and she says she's not a game player. Elizabeth goes up to talk to James, and James says, "What's been on your mind lately? What's been making you smile?" And she's saying, You make me smile. I like you." And he's pulling away, and she doesn't see it because he's not communicating it. Once again to camera, he's trying to make himself feel better by saying, "She didn't have my back," so he's pulling back. He's disgusting. That's a ridiculous answer. Okay, so then stuff goes down further. Elizabeth, we see her up and down in the middle of the night. At 4:49 a.m., she texts Francesca that she's struggling with a UTI and she's worried about work. Fran wakes up and says, "So annoying." Rachel is sick and pushing through it. Aisling is sick and pushing through it. Elizabeth is taking advantage of the situation. Now, this is where I disagree with Fran. Yes, Elizabeth is a mess. She does genuinely seem to be in pain. She does get up when she's supposed to and help the guests. So I don't understand why I do understand. Fran has it out for Elizabeth, and everything she does is annoying to Francesca. So this is just another example about it. So Francesca talks to Eddie and arranges to get a doctor on board so that the doctor can check out Elizabeth and Rachel and Aisling. Oh my gosh, so much going on. Izzy's feeling so much better, so she's out there working. It's amazing. She's like Superwoman. This is why it's hard for me to hate Rachel, because she serves things like Belgian waffles with bourbon maple syrup. I really wanted to eat this. They look delicious. Then we see James and Rob laying around in the crew mess. James asks Rob for his phone while Elizabeth is right there and says, "Watch me." You guys, I cannot do this British accent, but he says, "Watch me start double tapping the Fitbirds on your feed," and starts checking out all these women. And then he can't figure out why Elizabeth might be mad about this. He's talking about his Instagram being full of girls. Aisling tells him to be more considerate. He says he forgot that she was there. What a douche. So next time we see the dog taking a dump on the floor. Ew. Eddie puts Izzy as lead deckhand. Then James immediately can't handle it and starts questioning her authority. He's so disgusting. They get the doctor on board to check everybody out. Then it's Francesca versus Elizabeth. Francesca tells Elizabeth that she's had enough of her. So we'll see how that all goes down and how that plays out. I'm so enjoying this season. I'm excited to see the next episode. Yeah, it's just been a nice change, especially coming off that dreadful med season. I'm enjoying this one very much. So you guys, that is it for the episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Check back every day. I'm covering all kinds of different shows. I'm going to throw up more Bridgerton soon. And yeah, check out my Patreon because I got lots of stuff going over there as well. So thank you guys so much for everything. I appreciate all the support. I'm back. Leave me comments. I love reading them. And I will talk to you guys soon. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.